Right, well, this is Ben's Comments 23 video, and he's actually commenting on a comment that I left. I made a video about a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, Ben Emlyn-Jones, more twaddle, and I just mentioned a couple of things that Ben had mentioned in his Comments 22, and one of them was the Pentarch UFO incident. And he was responding to a comment in that, and he said, yes, I watched Steve's Pentarch, I watched that video, Steve's Pentarch video. I couldn't watch all of it, I was in a right state. So I left a comment that he's now got a comment on. Well, I said, the reason you were in a right state, Ben, was because you knew that I hit the nail right on the head with the military flares. As soon as you saw that triangular shape with the curve at the bottom, you knew what Kaz had seen. And he's responding to that comment here.
And the reason you couldn't watch all my Pentarch UFO non-event videos because I know you know I nailed it. You know I'm right, there's nothing to it. Wrong, Steve, wrong. I just didn't have time.
Wrong, Steve, wrong. I just didn't have time. Now just let's have a quick look at what he said in the previous comments video, Comments 22.
I actually watched that video. I haven't watched all of it. I was in a bit of a state. Kaz tells us the.
Yes, Ben was in a bit of a state. Well, never mind. Yes, someone left a comment that they'd like to see me try and debunk some of Andrew Johnson or Richard D. Hall's stuff, and I said, well, I've never bothered, you know. I think Ben said the same thing. I had a quick look at Andrew Johnson's, what is it, Show Us the Evidence channel or something. No.
Show you this in a bit more.
What the hell is this? Hang on. What's he call this thing? Check the evidence. And I think that's what Andrew really should be doing. Because I've only had a very quick look at this. He's got another video called Irrefutable. And I think I'll have a look at that and see if I can refute some of it. But I really don't get the gist of what this is supposed to be about, to be perfectly honest. I think he's saying that the toasted cars at the World Trade Center, you know, keeping the record straight. Now, before I sort of comment on this, there's a couple of things that I think I should mention, and that's that a few times Ben has said in his comment reply videos that, you know, I've given you an answer to that. You know, I've given you this, that, and the other. He's given his opinion. Ben Emlyn-Jones has given his opinion, you know, as to why the Russians would have given away a fake moon landing. And same with Marcus Allen and these guys. They're clueless, of course. They've got no idea about the technology or anything else. They're giving their opinions. They're not providing any evidence whatsoever. There's absolutely no evidence to this. Now, if you're going to investigate this stuff and look at it, then, you know, investigate it and look at it with integrity. Don't look at it. It's like yeah, someone said, I think it might have been Ben Emlyn-Jones actually, said have a look at the UK Paranormal Radio channel. So I had a look at it, and it was rubbish. You know, you got a couple of fantasists on there talking about being abducted by aliens. And I left a comment on there because they mentioned Roswell. I left a link to the Mac Brazel statement. Mac Brazel was the guy that found the original Roswell wreckage on June the 14th, not July the 7th. Back in 1947. Mac Brazel's statement says he found balsa wood sticks, strips of rubber, you know, cardboard fin. It's not a spacecraft. It's obviously not a spacecraft. And they deleted it. Now, I do that as an experiment, partially as an experiment, partially as information, because I think people should be able to read that and make their own minds up. But if someone deletes that, that tells me that they're not investigating with integrity. They want to hide anything that will not go along with their narrative. You know, they want a story to be true. They will not allow anything that can cast doubt on that to be shown on their channel. Now, you know, if you're going to investigate the paranormal, you're going to investigate conspiracies, do it with integrity. That's what I say. Don't hide stuff to just to support a cock and ball yarn because you want it to be true. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. This is Andrew. I'll leave a link to this below so you can have a look at the whole video for context or whatever. But I think what he's saying here is that something about these cars. I think is he trying to give the impression that these cars were pre-burnt and then towed into position? Is that what he's trying to get at here? Let's just have a listen to this anyway.
More detail, because I've used this in talks, but I wanted to make this image slightly better, and I will show you the original images in a moment, but I've contrast enhanced these, and I've also put this region across the top of the image to try and bring out some of the details in the shaded portion, because this top half of the image is in the shade for one part.
Yeah, sorry about the shaking. I'm holding the camera in my left hand. I'm not using any kind of clever software to screen grab this. I've just got a camera pointed at the screen. So hopefully you'll be able to see what Andrew's getting at here.
Part of the day. And this is a so-called toasted parking lot. And we can see here, this proves that there are total liars on the internet, because we can see here some of these cars toasted in place. And we can see, for example, here this car, the black one, fine, red one, fine, silver one, fine. Oh dear, these two are not fine. So we see in regions...
Yeah, we've got to bear in mind there's falling, burning debris, isn't there? This is a car park close to the World Trade Towers, they're pretty tall buildings. You've got falling, burning debris falling all over the place. It's going to fall on some cars and not others. I don't think this proves anybody is a liar, to be perfectly honest. I'll show you a couple of other images as examples.
Of destruction here. And again, if we come over to this side, all of these cars here are toasted right down to this one, which is fine.
Well, you can't really tell that it's fine. He's talking about this one here. He's talking about this one here. Now, he says it's fine. That is an assumption on Andrew's part, because we can't see the other side of the car. The other side of the car could be all scorched. It could be all black, couldn't it? And it looks like the car next to it, there's a part of that is still white. So I think he's jumping to a conclusion here. He's jumping to a conclusion because it supports his narrative. He's not investigating this. You know, he's calling people liars when he's not really being factual himself, is he?
This one is toasted as well, and you can see that that one is fine. And these are not moved. That one is fine. And I think these is parked on uneven ground. That one is fine. And then
yeah, I think we get the gist of that. What he's saying is that, you know, some of them are burnt, some of them aren't.
the one next to it is toasted.
You know, he's saying that, you know, showing the before and after pictures here. These are cooked here. These two are cooked. He's saying these two are fine. Again, you know, fine. That's, I think if you walked up to it, you know, is it going to look fine? Or is it going to be scorched? Or the window's going to be cracked? Andrew doesn't know that. He can't say it's fine. He can't say that is fine. These are assumptions. They're not facts. I'll just show you a couple of other images that I've got here. If I can get the right one. Okay, well, that one might do. There you go. That's got nothing whatsoever to do with 9/11. This is just a wildfire cell in Germany. Wildfire cell. Roaring inferno there. And there's two cars at the end here that Andrew would call fine. These are all going to be burnt out husks. These may very well be fine. Okay, that's one. What else have we got here? this one here. Okay, so this nothing whatsoever to do with 9/11. I think this is in, I don't know, where is this one? Miami-Dade, wherever that is. So you've got a few cars here. They're all cooked. This one here looks fine, as Andrew would say. It looks fine. Actually, it doesn't look quite fine, does it, when you get a closer look at it? But, you might be thinking, that may very well not have been parked there when the other cars were burning. But if we go to the other image, there we go, there's the actual fire with the cars burning, and the Dodge is parked there. So, you know, what Andrew's saying about the cars being burnt in the car park is completely meaningless. Means nothing whatsoever. It's certainly not evidence that the cars were pre-burnt or deliberately burnt. They were burnt by burning debris, you know, falling randomly around the car park. Bloody obvious. And I think to say anything else, it's just because he's fixated with his own narrative. The narrative of the conspiracy kooks. Okay, so something else I wanted to show you. I think this is it. Now, no thanks, go away. Back in 1945, this is the Empire State Building. None of the conspiracy theorists ever mention this, because again, it doesn't agree with their narrative. They won't be able to get away with their ridiculous comments like an aluminium plane can't penetrate a steel building. Unbelievable gibberish. Back in 1945, a B-25 Mitchell bomber flew into the Empire State Building. This is the Empire State Building. Now, the Empire State Building was over-engineered. It was, if you read any articles about the Empire State Building and the way it was built, the way it was engineered, it was over-engineered. So it's a tougher building, if you like, than the World Trade Center, the way it's constructed. As you can see, it's burning away there. B-25 Mitchell bomber. Hang on, I think we may have some pictures. There it is. There's a B-25 Mitchell bomber. Weighs 8 tons. So this aircraft that weighs 8 tons was flying at 250 miles an hour when it flew into the Empire State Building. There's bits of it all over the inside. I'll leave links to this below. There's a bloody great hole in the outside of the building. Oh, newspapers have survived. Good heavens, look at that. A few casualties there. Debris on the ground. Oh, okay. That was a quick slideshow, wasn't it? But you get the gist of it. Okay, it's a little plane. It's an 8-ton aeroplane. Oh, crikey. I'm going to get stuck with the bloody ads. So it's a bloody great hole made by, there's all the wreckage inside. I'll leave a link to this below. Little tiny plane, 8 tons, twin-engined aircraft. And there's the damage to the Empire State Building. Now, on September 11th, just to pick one particular flight, was it United 175? I was looking at it earlier. It was a 767-222, 195 tons, travelling at 590 miles per hour is what flew into one of the World Trade Towers. The other one was very similar. It was a 767-223. I haven't got the notes in front of me. I don't know which one was which was the United, which was the American Airways, but they're both about the same mass, the same weight, about 195 tons, travelling at 590 miles an hour. So can you imagine if this was done by an 8-ton aircraft doing 250 miles an hour, the sort of damage that might be done by a 195-ton aircraft travelling at 590 miles an hour. And although I don't use math very often, I did do a calculation earlier today, Richard D. Hall's an engineer. He might want to have a look at the numbers, or have a look at the figure and see what he thinks. But I calculated that the kinetic energy in that aircraft striking that World Trade Tower was 635,313,070.502 joules. And that was based on the maximum takeoff weight, because it was fully fueled, of the aircraft, travelling at 590 miles an hour. So anyone tells you that aircraft is not going to penetrate a steel building, tell them to get thinner underpants so you can understand what they're saying, because they're talking out of their backsides. Anyway, I might have a look at this irrefutable video a little bit later on and see how much of it is actually refutable, but certainly, you know, I've looked at a little bit of Andrew Johnson's stuff, and I've looked at a little bit of Richard D. Hall's stuff, and I haven't seen anything that I would consider evidence of any kind of conspiracy for 9/11 or anything else, to be perfectly honest. It's just heavily biased information, cherry-picked to favour their narrative, as with all conspiracy theories and spruikers. All right, I think that'll do for now. Maybe I'll catch you another time.